Hey there, good morning and welcome to the JeepSolid garage. Today we're working on our 3.6 liter Pentastar engine. We have a transmission cooling line leaks. And fortunately this engine, the 3.6 Pentastar, it's found in quite a few different vehicles, including the Jeep Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, some Ram trucks, Chrysler Town & Country. Chrysler used a lot of these engines in different vehicles. I walked out to my vehicle the other day and I noticed a little oil spot under the front driver's side bumper here. Thought it was oil initially, but on further inspection, turned out to be a transmission line leak. Let me show you here real quick. And this is my people mover 2017 Dodge Grand Caravan, and our transmission lines are kind of hidden right back down in here. Let's get a little light on them. There we go, that's better. There's our two transmission lines going up to our transmission cooler and down to our transmission down there, which we'll get to. And down underneath, you can see here where some of the leak was. And I noticed that you can still see some drops right here. And one reason I appreciate working on this engine, it's the same engine, same setup, although the engine is twisted just a little bit, but same setup as my 2012 Jeep Wrangler, which I just love. Here's our new transmission lines. I'll include a link in the description below of this transmission line that fits into the 2017 Dodge Grand Caravan. I'm gonna take you guys just real quick through the steps of doing this. It's not that hard. On the front grille here, there's a couple little plastic tabs here. The center of them just pulls up. The center of that tab comes up, then the whole thing can pull right out. We've got two of those to get out. And this is just going to give us a little bit of extra room. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 10mm bolts. We are going to take those out. And hiding down on each side, 2 more 10mm bolts to come out. And with that, our cross member is loose. We can set this out of the way. Our hood latch is still attached though, so just set this out of the way somewhere. I've got my battery covered up there because I don't want to short anything out on the battery, and that just gives us more access here so we can get to our transmission lines. Gonna pull this little mount off. I'm gonna put a little catch pan underneath because we are gonna lose a little bit of transmission fluid. And yeah, you can see where it's been leaking pretty good. I'm gonna clean that up a little bit before we get started. Just a little brake part cleaner. Want to keep debris from getting down into my transmission system. And then on each line, there's a little plastic cover over a snap ring. It's like a little spring there. You're gonna need to get yourself a little pick of some kind to pull this off. This one actually might not be big enough. I might have to get a little screwdriver here. With just a little pick behind it, I was able to kind of get the spring, give me a little tiny screwdriver underneath it there. So now I can get it released. I'm trying to pop it off of here without shooting it across the room too, because I don't want to lose it, because I don't want to have to buy a new one. There we go. A little spring number 1, and I'll pull transmission line number 1 out of the way here. Got my drip pan under there in case we lose a little fluid. And now I can get to spring number 2. And full disclosure on this, I am not a professional mechanic. I am just a dude working in his garage. There's spring number 2. But that being said, I'm just a dude working in his garage, saving hundreds of dollars doing repairs himself. Okay, the top of the 2 lines disconnected. Now you just follow those 2 lines down to your transmission. Same process. There's those plastic keepers we got to pull off, then 2 springs, and those lines will pull right out. All right, got the lines disconnected. Now before I pull everything out, I'm taking my new set and just kind of matching it up, seeing how the fittings fit on, make sure that the hoses are all exactly the same, get everything back in the same orientation. One of the best tips I can give you though, when you're doing a project like this, take your phone and snap a few pictures. If you're working on brakes or transmission lines, whatever, take your phone, snap a couple pictures as you're doing the project, because then you go back to it later and you'll think, gosh, did this line go over that or under that? Or, oh no, was this gray fitting on the left or on the right? And then you can refer back to your pictures. It's so very helpful. Obviously, I'm videoing, so I can always refer back to my video like, oh, hey, and I've done that. But doing brakes and stuff, super helpful to have pictures of what you're doing before you take stuff apart. Let's feed our new transmission lines down in there, and simply gonna put them in the holes. Make sure they're down in there snug. And I'm also paying attention to the fact that that line on the right-hand side one, was the top line over here. We don't want to get them crossed. We want them back in the same spot. Okay, I'm happy with where the lines are at, how they're routed. So now I can put those little snap rings and plastic covers back on. And when you're putting these snap rings back in, you'll notice there's a little cutout, a little hole on each side. And that little notch right there needs to line up with that. So I'm gonna snap it in like that. I'll show you on this other line up here. There you go, you can see that little groove there. We're gonna get this little notch right there into that groove. And they shouldn't be that hard to push on. If you're really fighting to get it on there, it's not lined up right, or the little edge of the spring is caught in that groove or something. They should go on fairly easy. I didn't bore you guys with putting all the little pieces back in on this cross member and the front grille here, but next we're gonna check the transmission fluid level, because we lost a little bit of transmission fluid because it was leaking, and a little bit with our repair, so let me show you how to do that. Now to check the transmission fluid level, there's this little fill spot right down here. If I take this cap off, it says for dealer only. They don't put a little dipstick on it or nothing. Come on, Chrysler. But that is the spot where we will check the fluid level, and we're gonna actually use our oil dipstick to do that. And I don't know, I guess part of the reason why Chrysler didn't put a little dipstick on there for people to do it themselves is because you have to have one of these fancy schmancy little charts here. This is a 62 TE transmission. There's temperature across here and fluid level up the side there. So because it's cool in my garage right now, we're gonna use the 70-degree mark. They have all these other temperatures along here, and you're supposed to actually use like a temperature gun on your transmission to take the temperature of the transmission and figure out where you're supposed to be at in the chart. But if we go to the lowest level, it's cool, it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, it's actually a little cooler than that, but this gets down to nothing. So this is fluid level in millimeters. So at 70 degrees, we need 3 millimeters up to like 15 millimeters. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the car up, but then we're gonna take our oil dipstick here, clean this guy off. We want it all sparkly clean. Then we're gonna drop the dipstick down into the fill hole until it bottoms out. Right there. Then we're gonna measure how many millimeters up the fluid level is. Right now this looks like it's way over full because the car is not running. We gotta do this when the car is running. So let's start it up. And we're actually gonna cycle through all the gears. Foot on the brake. Let's go into reverse, neutral, drive. We're just gonna kind of cycle back and forth through everything, get our transmission fluid through all the different gears. But we don't want to take too long and let it warm up too much, because remember we're doing this with the transmission being cool down at that 70 degrees. Now I know I'm a little low on fluid already because it's been leaking and we lost a little bit of fluid during our transmission cooling line repair there. And yeah, when I stick this down, I get just a little bit on the tip. Now, because I'm low, I'm gonna add a little bit of ATF plus 4. Got a fancy little funnel here with an extension on it. You're gonna have to use something like this to add a little bit at a time until we get it up to that level that we want. So I'm going to keep adding little bits of fluid like that, start the car up, take it through all the gears again until I get it to this 3 to 15 millimeter level. Then after I have it in that safe zone for the 70-degree markings, I'm going to drive it, take it for a 15-20 minute drive, get the transmission good and warm up to its top temperature of 200 degrees here, and I'll check again to make sure we're clear up here at the, like 40 to 53 millimeter mark. The transmission lines look great. I don't see any leaks. I'm going to keep going through and adding little bits of ATF +4 till I get it up to that exact level I want. Be sure to check out in the description below the parts I used on this project. I've got a lot of good stuff listed down there. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your support and have a good day.